welcome to Cultivating Keepsakes. I'm Eden and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be making mini American flag pillows. So for this one, I hot glued it so that I could show you guys how to do it. The other ones I did sew, so if you're a sewer, you can also do that, of course. I cut out a long rectangle of some ticking stripe fabric and then a smaller rectangle of some star fabric. And then I glued the star fabric onto the front left top corner so that it would look like the American flag. And then I folded the fabric over and started hot gluing the edges. And then I cut my shape how I wanted it. You could, of course, cut your shape out first instead of doing the rough cut. I just find it easier this way. And then I hot glued around all three edges, leaving a small space to put in the polyfill. So once you do that, you're just gonna fill it with polyfill. You can use as much or as little polyfill as you want, depending on how stuffed or firm you want your pillows. For some of them, I did them really, really firm and I put a lot in there. And for some, I did it a lot less. I do kind of like the firm ones better just because they push into the corners real good and they stand up nice in dough bowls, but you can do it either way. And then once you got it all in there, you just hot glue the little opening closed. It's pretty easy. And then you have your little pillow. And you could stop right there if you wanted to. They're super cute just like that. But I wanted to give mine some decorations, so I got out a bunch of lace and fabric strips and ribbon, buttons, safety pins, pearls, stuff like that. And for this one, I took a piece of coffee dyed muslin and I tied it into a knot twice and then cut off the ends. And then you'll see throughout this video that I do kind of mess around with things and hold it up to the flags to see what I like or don't like. That's what I'm doing with this white muslin here. And I didn't like it, so I ended up going with some red fabric, some dark red fabric. And I just took some clickable stamps from Michaels. You'll see those a lot in this video too. And I spelled out the word freedom. And then I used my white Versa ink to stamp it onto the fabric. I did this twice because I didn't really like the first one very much. Didn't show up as well as I had wanted it to. And then once I had the words on there, I cut out a strip around. So I cut out the word, making it like a strip. And then I cut out another piece of the red fabric the same size and a piece of batting the same size. And then I just hot glued a piece of fabric, batting, and then the piece of fabric with the word on it on top of each other. And I glued that and the little knot to the flag, putting the little knot like a little bit over top of the tag. And then that was pretty much it for this particular pillow. And so the other thing I wanted to mention is that there's going to be some breaks in this video where I play some music because I wanted you guys to be able to see what I was doing and get some ideas or inspiration. But there's obviously only so much to say about tying a knot or putting something on a pillow. So just so you know. And here comes a music break now. Oh, and I forgot I added a little blue button to the bottom part of the tag. I just thought it was cute. And then that was it. It was done. Next, I took this pillow. I used a different ticking stripe and a different star fabric. And I also used some coffee dyed muslin and my clickable stamps. But this time I made a bow. And then I spelled out the word America. And I used my red archival ink and stamped it right onto the tail of the bow. I love doing this. I just think it looks so good. And then I hot glued the bow onto my little flag pillow. And that was it for this one. Super easy. For this one, I just used basic red and white striped fabric and the star fabric that I used for the first one. And then I took a piece of lace that used to be a tablecloth, I believe. I got it at an estate sale. And I tied a knot in it just like I did the first piece of muslin in my first flag. And then I used a piece of white muslin and I stamped the word Liberty on it using my clickable stamps. And then I cut it with like the angle for a tag shape. And then I chose a button that I liked and I added that to it as well. And I just hot glued it all to the little flag. And then that flag will be done. And then for this one, I used the same ticking stripe fabric I used in the first one and the star fabric that I used in the second one. So it would look a little different than the other flag. And I took a piece of trim that I had got in a set from Michael's and just cut it and kind of folded it in half so it looked like the ends of like a prize ribbon. And then I used a safety pin that I had rusted up using Mod Podge and cinnamon to attach it. And then I took these other clickable stamps that I got from Temu and I spelled out the word USA and I stamped that right onto the pillow. And then that was it. This pillow was all done. And then for the last pillow, I used a bandana and then I just did a straight line sewing lace 3 times onto the front so it would still have the red and white stripes. And of course the star fabric. And I went back and forth on what I wanted to do with this one, but in the end I went kind of simple. I mean really simple. I tied a bow out of some lace and then I attached that over the star fabric and then I attached a pearl in the center of it and then that was it. It was done. And that's all of the pillows complete. I really like them. They look great sitting in my dough bowl. At least I think so. But then again, I'm partial. So you guys will have to let me know. Am I right? Do they look great? Or do they just look okay? Or are they absolutely terrible and I'm losing it? Anyways, let me know in the comments. I would also love if you would follow or subscribe, comment, like, share. It really does help my page and my channel to grow. And I appreciate it so much, you guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you that are here, that watch this, that support me. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!